26 years at the helm of India's most successful QSR chain, the man who brought McDonald's to India is set to pass on the baton to his son. Hello and welcome to this episode of Weekender, and today we're talking to Amit Jatia, the Vice Chairman of Westlife Foodworld, and his son Akshay Jatia. Over the past 2.5 decades, Amit has expanded McDonald's to 341 restaurants across the west and south of India and has clocked sales of 1,700 crores as of the 9 months of FY23. Now, Westlife has charted out an aggressive 5-year plan targeting 580 to 630 restaurants and sales of about 4,000 to 4,500 crores by 2027. Well, now let's head in and talk to Amit about his journey so far and get to know the man Akshay, who is going to take this vision to life. Akshay, hi, nice to meet you. Hi, Amit. Hi, Akshay. Lovely to meet you guys.
Very nice to meet you
Thanks for taking the time out. So, a lot of exciting things I'm up to for conversation today. But, first I want to start off with you, Amit. We've seen some changes within the organization also. I think Saurabh was elevated to the MD. Just wanted to get a sense. A lot of changes here. What's the idea? And then also tell us, how do you now feel about Akshay taking over?
Sure. I think change is a constant. And in my opinion, it's a young brand and young people need to drive it.
Of course.
And that is where Saurabh and Akshay are the new gen that will lead this business. They are more in sync with our customers. They are more in sync with technology. The good news is that still does not take us out of the equation. There are things that we bring to the table with experience. And that's what we will sort of continue to do.
Okay.
But it's important that newer ideas, AI, so many new things are happening. And the new leadership team needs to evolve.
Right.
And the next gen of leaders now need to lead this business to the next level.
Right. Before anything, first I want to ask you, are you also a hamburgerologist as well? And run me through the training that, you've had at the company now that you've come to the helm.
Unfortunately, no, I haven't been to Hamburger University in the US, but I've done multiple courses across the McDonald's network in Asia. So whether it's marketing courses at, the Hamburger University they set up in Thailand, or a bunch of our local leadership courses, starting at the restaurants, in the head office, and even as you progress in the company at different levels.
Right.
Consistent training, consistent coaching, consistent learning. So it's been fantastic, and that's how I started my journey. I started my journey in the restaurants in 2014, spent around 10 months running a restaurant, actually starting from ground up, then doing all different courses within the restaurant, running a restaurant.
Right.
So that's how I was inducted into the business, and every time I come to a restaurant, it reminds me of that, and it's extremely, satisfying.
I remember from the last time we spoke, you did mention that you worked across departments. So from 2014 to now, what part of it has been your favorite, and let's say like the biggest learning for you?
So I think the biggest learning and the one that's been my most favorite is the first thing I started on when I went into the head office after the restaurants. That was our McDelivery business. And it's very dear to me because today everyone, kind of forgets because it's a large business, it's growing fast. But the early days were definitely tough and, great learnings. And today where we are is a testimony to how we set it up back then.
Right.
So I think that that's my favorite part of the business even today because it's so fascinating. We connect with customers digitally. Back then we had no digital marketing, hardly a technology team. We had an app and a website, which we continue to work on. And today, after I spent a lot of time on that business, we have a large technology team, a very strong digital marketing team, and a very strong presence through this McDelivery platform.
Right. And Ms. Amit, today McDonald's is an undisputed leader in the country when it comes to the QSR space. But you've built it up from a time where QSR was virtually non-existent.
Correct.
So I want to understand, what were some of the biggest challenges that you saw in your journey? What, steps at point, give us anecdotes also if you can, where you thought am I going to overcome this?
Sure. I mean, of course, it's just 25 years and the journey was very challenging.
Right.
When we first came, to start with, there was no raw material.
Right.
So we had to work with farms, get lettuce grown. Nobody had heard of lettuce. Iceberg lettuce was new. supply chain did not exist, cold chain did not exist. So in the early days, that was the challenge. The other big challenge was, the funny part is, to that extent, that India is also very vegetarian.
Correct.
So while we did have separate kitchens for veg, non-veg, but the menu on the vegetarian side was small, right? And I'm proud to say that over the years today, it's about equal footing. But when customers started walking in, we realized that we need to really ramp up the menu. So to get product development going, develop products like aloo tikki and the paneer burger and so on, was challenging. But today it is pretty much a part of life. And from a business point of view, not many people knew the brand. We had to do trial. More importantly, in those days, the eating out frequency was very low.
Very low.
So even though we eat out 100 times a month, people were eating out only 3 to 4 times. So really, what do you fight for if the frequency is only 3 times? So we used to say that our real competitor is the housewife. And if we get people to eat out more often, we'll work. So that was another big challenge. So, numerous things along the way. But today, we are on a pretty strong platform.
Right. And, from that challenge to today, another challenge I would say is, the aversion that has started coming to what we call junk food and a movement towards health. So I want to understand from both of you, how are you tackling this, sort of that old notion that McDonald's is unhealthy and people are getting more health conscious? Do you see that as a challenge, and how are you tackling that?
From my point of view, see, it's very simple. Every brand evolves every day. What was relevant 20 years ago in any product category, right, is not relevant today. And it's the same thing as McDonald's. If you look at McDonald's 20 years ago, it was a different brand. Today, it's a different brand across the world.
Correct.
And therefore, today we have to, finally, as a consumer brand, you have to give consumers what they want. Otherwise, what's the point of, being a consumer brand? So our menu has evolved dramatically. I mean, we have the egg burger, we have the aloo tikki, which is a healthy meal, and so many different things we've done. In sauces, we've cut down the calorie content by almost 30-40%. So we've done things to evolve along with the consumer. And at the end of the day, if you would say that there are customers around, means we've done something right. Right. We've got the right offering that has got them. Take the example of Happy Meals. In Happy Meals today, we've replaced a carbonated drink with a healthy drink. We've given corn as an option to the mothers so that a child can eat that regularly. So we've done a whole number of things today, and it's resonating with the consumer.
Right. And how do you plan on taking that forward?
So, to add on, right, our entire objective is to be wholesome and nutritious, right? We definitely ensure that our calorie content is displayed across our menu boards. We're working further to ensure that we have meals that are designed for different types of use cases. So a single use case where calorie content needs to be a little lower, Happy Meals for children. So, that's our entire focus moving forward, to evolve basis consumer needs. Even in terms of chicken, right, it's the fastest growing protein in our country. A lot of work that we're doing is to build this chicken platform. So, customers who are coming in to eat a veg meal will have a balanced aloo tikki diet. The ones who are coming to have kind of non-veg will eat, chicken products, which is a healthy protein in that respect. And the work that we're doing on the platform will also ensure that customers are getting value for their money.
Understood. And, over the past couple of years, from you, I want to understand, what is your one big or experiment that you would say that worked really well for you, that you're really proud of at this point?
I think I would say McCafe.
Okay, I anticipated that.
So, there are so many things I feel very good about. But in 2012 and 13, the business environment was very difficult. The economy, GDP had gone down quite substantially. And at that time, to have the courage to put money behind re-imaging and adding McCafe to the brand was a big one. And I think that's paid off extremely well. So I'm really proud of that.
And, for you, watching your dad doing this for the past 26 years, what have some of the biggest learnings for you been from the way he does business?
So, I've actually seen them build the company as I was very young, as I was a teenager eating at McDonald's, and also someone who came into the business young and has learned, through them, through the way. So I think, the biggest learnings have been entrepreneurial spirit, passion, staying ahead of the curve, like he said. What are your projects, what are your ideas that are going to fuel the next 5 years of growth, not the next 3 years, you know, because 3 years is already kind of thought through. 1 year is already being executed. We have the right team, you know, like we touched upon, our new MD Saurabh, the leadership team, who are driving, you know, the short-term agenda as well as the long-term agenda. But for me, it's about thinking beyond 5 years.
Right.
And ensuring that, number one, we execute our 5-year vision, and number two, like how they did, right? They saw this journey 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That, you know, when we came into the market, everyone was wondering, how are we going to sell burgers? What is Western fast food? And today, we are where we are. So for me, it's about ensuring that, you know, beyond the next 5 years, we have enough pipeline to secure this platform and make it into something that, you know, they dreamed it would be back in 1996.
Right. And how are you different in terms of how, you know, you do business from your father? And do you guys have disagreements when you sit down for meetings? How do you, I'm just curious, how does this father-son dynamic work?
So, you know, I've learned a lot. Like I said, I'll let him start and then I'll add on.
Okay.
No, I think in terms of course, we have disagreements. That's the good news. Because you see, at least we've seen the brand in a certain way.
Of course.
And when the consumer is changing, the new generation will see it in a certain way.
Yeah.
And the balance is to experiment, but experiment quickly rather than talk in the boardroom. And I think that's the balance that we are finding. And in my opinion, I feel that you have to experiment and learn.
Right.
And therefore, I feel to that extent, I hope he feels that I give him the rope to be able to do that.
Okay.
And I think that to me is sort of the biggest push and pull. And I think it's healthy for the brand because that's when change starts happening.
So, you know, adding on to that, obviously, you know, the brand has been a brick and mortar brand. It's been built over 25 years in a different way. Over the last 5 years, you've seen a lot of change through technology. So one of the biggest aspects I came in with, right, and that was my first project, was tech and digital.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, that's been an area where we've obviously complemented each other. There's been push and pull, but it's been kind of my passion to drive this agenda and to drive it fast.
Right.
So I think, you know, finding that balance in terms of new concepts, in terms of speed, in terms of decision making, is something we continue to work on. And obviously lending the experience, lending the caution is something that I really benefit from.
You know, I want to ask you is now that, you know, of course you are continuing to be the vice chairman, you will continue to, you know, be part of the business, but taking a slighter step back, if I may say so, I'm sure you will have more free time at your hand. You know, how is Mr. Amit going to look at utilizing that time? Any hobbies that you'd like to take up or anything that you want to pick up from the past? Just what are you going to do with to unwind now?
Sure. I mean, yes, I do have slightly more time on hand now.
Slightly,
but I'm a business guy.
Yeah.
And for me, my DNA is all about business growth and things like that. You know, I was MD for 15 years, but my role changed every few years.
Correct.
Right? Because otherwise, how do other people grow in the organization? But that did not make me sort of redundant. Okay. So I think I see my role changing. I mean, we are looking to invest about 1,500 crores in the marketplace. One, of course, the idea is to ensure that systems, governance, particularly capital allocation, you know, where we need to take risk specifically. Horizon 2 projects, what I mean by that is projects that are going to give us results from 12 to 24 months.
Right.
These are areas of my focus. Board, you know, again, the company is going from, say, 2,500 crores to 5,000 crores. That again changes the dynamics.
Correct.
So I would like to keep their focus on ensuring that they focus on the 1 to 3 year results. And my job is to ensure that they put capital to work in the right manner, look at the 3 to 5 year, you know, work with the board to ensure that governance processes are better.
Right.
And then along the way, I like to travel. So I am definitely going to take time for that and with my grandchildren.
Okay, great. So we're in conversation here with Mr. Amit and Akshay, and we're talking about the business. So far, we spoke about the experience and what lies ahead for Akshay. With that, we'll take a short break. On the other side, some more exciting conversation coming up for you about the business and the QSR industry as well. Stay tuned.